Today on the show, I'm getting candid about drugs. Well, more like plant medicine. Psychedelics, if you may. Full confession, I've researched and written extensively about my own experiences with plant medicine in all parts of the world for my book called 5 Trips. So the use of psychedelics, even for medicinal use, is largely illegal in the United States and most countries. But there have been extensive research from Johns Hopkins and many other universities as to the positive impact many have had while using them to treat everything from mental health issues as well as depression. It's certainly gotten the attention of a lot of celebrities. Psychedelics are increasingly piquing interest. From Oprah,
can psychedelic drugs like psilocybin, also known as magic mushrooms, MDMA, also known as ecstasy, and even LSD, can they heal mental trauma?
to longtime plant medicine proponent, comedian Chelsea Handler,
Have you ever taken mushrooms, walked outside into your backyard, and talked to what you thought was a tree for 2 hours until you realized you were talking to your landscaper?
and of course, former New York Jet Aaron Rodgers, who chronicled his own plant medicine journey for his documentary for Netflix.
You start to peel back some of those layers of who they think you are when you start getting deep and getting emotional. And I think that's what it means to be a well-balanced man, is to be able to tap into that divine feminine and be vulnerable.
There's a growing fight to make psychedelics legalized once again in the United States. The term psychedelics referring to a class of drugs including magic mushroom, LSD, and MDMA, otherwise called ecstasy.
I don't think psychedelics are the answer to the world's problems, but they could be a start.
Once demonized as a counterculture threat, they're now being re-examined for possible treatment for anxiety, PTSD, depression, and spiritual healing. A growing number of states are legalizing some form of psychedelics for institutional therapy. And what was once thought of something that was only for the young or perhaps white people has branched out in recent years into a more diverse crowd and spanning generations.
Hey everyone, as many of you know, a couple months ago, I gifted my 78-year-old mom with a guided psilocybin or magic mushrooms journey.
One of the latest celebrities to discuss psychedelics is journalist and former host of The View, Ling, who gifted her mom a magic mushroom journey and captured it on camera.
How are you feeling today? You nervous at all?
Not really. Feel pretty good, actually. Looking forward to this.
Mom, you've been telling me that you've been very emotional lately and that you've been dreaming a lot about your past, some of the things that I think you've buried. And so when you told me that, I thought, I'd love to have a conversation with Heather. I hope that you can get some peace today and moving forward.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Lisa connected her mom, Mary, with a licensed certified psychotherapist who works with psilocybin for her guided magic mushroom journey.
How important, though, Heather, is it to do this under the guidance of a trained professional?
Absolutely, and thank you for that. Yes, that is the key factor here, is having the appropriate set and setting. So the set being your mindset going in, having a clear intention, doing this with intentionality, the setting being where you're safe, where you're supported, and absolutely working with somebody who has an understanding of mental health.
After consuming a measured dose of magic mushrooms, Lisa and the therapist sat nearby as over the course of hours, her mom, Mary, worked through some deep-seated trauma that she's held for decades.
You've seen me, do a lot of supportive touch, but I think she's doing a lot of repatterning today about letting out the pain, also asking for the help. So I think there are a lot of things going on that are really subtle but are really powerful.
This is serious work.
It is very serious work. Yeah, it is. It is.
And not to discount therapy, but this doesn't come out in therapy.
No, this is a therapy.
Traditional therapy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ready? In 3, 2.
And Lisa Ling is joining me right now from her home in California. Lisa, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kendis.
And I want to, just before we get started, I want to add one little part where 1 month after your mother had her journey, this was her reaction.
How do you feel?
I feel great. I really feel great that I'm able to
relieve, let go of my past and drama that has been haunting me all my life. And I feel free, and I feel great that I'm like a newborn person. That was the best birthday present you ever gave me.
Okay, so Lisa, it's been several months now. Is that still the theme from your mom? Is that still her mindset?
It really is, Kendis. It's really extraordinary, and it's just such a testament to the power of these plant medicines. Yes, she still feels her physical ailments, but she's not obsessing over them. And she really, I think, has a different way to process the trauma that she had been harboring inside of her for so many decades. The way I describe it is, when you experience trauma as a child, you don't have the language to be able to articulate what happened to you. And after you experience the plant medicines, they help you create new neural pathways for you in some ways to be able to look at that trauma with adult eyes and with the adult language to be able to explain and process what happened.
Yeah, I mean, from my own personal experience, it's allowed the trauma to enter the room, and for me not to panic and puke and want to bawl or be in the child pose. But a lot of people experience these things differently, and there was something that you mentioned during the Mighty Ling's YouTube video that you produced on this, where you're there with the therapist, and your mom is going through it, and you guys are saying this doesn't happen in therapy, what she was experiencing.
No. As scary as this sounds, I really believe that there was an exorcism that happened with my mom. Kendis, she screamed for 6 hours straight. And at some point she was mumbling and growling, and the therapist said this may have been a pre-verbal. We don't know what we're carrying. We may have had traumatic events in our own lives, but we could be carrying them intergenerationally and epigenetically. And so whatever was coming out of my mom was something that needed to come out. And look, let's be honest, seeing and observing your mother seeming like she is just in this excruciating agony for 6 hours was really hard, because this is my mother. This is my protector all of my life. But I also knew, given my experience, having reported on plant medicines for so many years, that this is what needed to happen. She had to release. And for so many immigrants who come to this country, they close the book on their past when they arrive in America very often. And so for her, it truly has been decades that she's been holding this inside of her, and it just had to come out, and it did. And it isn't the kind of thing that I don't think can come out in therapy, because, when it comes to people like my mom who are immigrants, she just wouldn't have been able to articulate what she has been harboring inside of her. Now she may choose to go on the path of therapy, but still that which she was carrying inside of her, it just had to come out.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned the immigrant story, because I moved here to the U.S. as a 13-year-old, and yes, there were a lot of baggage, a lot of things that I had hidden away as a young child from my experience in the Caribbean, from Belize. I was mentioning to some friends who are Chinese and of Asian descent that you did this with your mom. And they said that's a really, really unusual thing within the culture, especially with the older generation. Make that make sense to me. So
there have been a couple of people on my social media who've said, how can I convince my mom or my dad to do it? And I'm always very cautious when I say you can't convince your parent or your grandparent to do this. You can provide them with information. You can provide them with resources, but it has to be a calling. You have to feel called to do it. And so with my mom, She has watched all of the reporting that I've done on psychedelics. She has seen transformation in both me and my husband, who have also experienced plant medicines in a professional setting. And so she was ready when I brought it up to her, when she told me that she was experiencing all these physical ailments and dreaming about her past pretty relentlessly. I said, well, can you talk to Heather, the facilitator, and see what you think? And after talking to Heather and going through the medical, the questionnaire that she did, she decided that it was something she really wanted to do.
And she said it was the best birthday present that she's had in her 78 years, I believe is what it was. What happens next?
Well, I really appreciate her willingness to allow us to share her journey. And I do think that there are a lot of women in particular in her demographic who have also been kind of harboring all of this inside of them for far too long. And really what we just wanted to do is share my mom's journey. And again, try to provide as much information as possible for people to know that it is an option for people. It's not for everyone. And it is imperative that you seek out someone who is qualified, who is licensed, who is certified, who has worked extensively with plant medications. And if you do find yourself to be a candidate and you feel called, it's something that people may want to consider. But again, it is not for everyone. And there are certainly people who absolutely shouldn't do this.
I can't reiterate that enough, because as I wrote about it, and plenty of plant medicine and psychedelic experiences for myself, it is not for necessarily everyone, but if you feel that calling, answer that calling.
Yeah, and it's also the kind of thing where I have reported on people who have been addicted to alcohol or other substances for years and years, and they did one plant medicine ceremony, and they never looked back. They never touched alcohol or drugs again, and they didn't feel like they needed to do another ceremony. I mean, sometimes it's one session that you need. Sometimes there's like kind of a regular upkeep that people feel like they have to do, but you just never know. But you do need to just be cautious and exercise caution and seek out the right therapist to help you.
No, absolutely agree. Lisa, thank you so much. And if we want to see more on this, where do we go?
Yeah, just follow our journey on Mighty Lings on Instagram and YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And appreciate you sharing your mother's journey, and I hope Barry is doing great.
Thanks, Kendis, and I'm so happy to hear that you have found such consequential healing with these plants as well.
Likewise. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so in all my research on plant medicine and psychedelics, I had never heard of this one. The possible impact they could have on people suffering from Tourette's. Just ahead, I head to the Netherlands and meet a young man who claims his journey with plant medicine over the last 2 years has cured his lifelong battle with Tourette's. As hundreds of thousands of people from all across the world gathered in New York's Times Square, prepared to usher in the new year, some 6 time zones and 3,600 miles away, a much smaller group of people from across the globe gathered to ring in the new year in a very, very different way.
Hello, my name is Ling from Budapest. Today is the 31st of December 2025, and I'm filming this from the Netherlands.
Several hours before the clock struck midnight in the Netherlands, 30-year-old Zilong Wei found himself deep in the forest at a remote cottage in hopes of welcoming 2026 with new healing and insight.
Today I'm drawn to Beckley to continue my healing journey and to help me find my path.
Z's plant medicine journey began 2 years ago, deep in the jungles of South America, using ayahuasca, the powerful hallucinogenic native to that continent. He came here to the Beckley retreat, located roughly an hour from Amsterdam, for the first psilocybin experience timed to coincide with the new year.
I hope to bring a lot of joy and lightness and a new purpose into this new year, and I'm very hopeful. So let's see how it goes.
The small group of participants at this New Year's Eve Bechtel retreat ground their own mushroom, which is then given to them in a carefully measured drink. For several hours, Z and the others experience a mental and sometimes physical journey, with the medicine working its way through their minds and bodies, the well-trained facilitators taking watch over the experience. The music and smoke meant to enhance the experience and work in unison with the medicine.
Psychedelics have some way of settling down the central nervous system if done in the correct way, allowing there to be more presence, and they can create more clarity. We end up creating all these narratives about ourselves, about others, about our relation to the world, and they have some way of kind of clearing the glass, if you will, and then you can see things more objectively. And then from there, you have the ability to make change more effectively when you see things more clearly.
These retreats were co-founded by Neil Markey, a war vet who found psychedelics helped him to manage his own PTSD, and he wanted to help curate these experiences for others. You're probably wondering why here in the middle of this forest in the Netherlands of all places, especially given some of the cold and rainy climate that you can have here. Well, this is one of only 2 countries in the world where you can have a fully legal psilocybin experience, here and Jamaica. Why aren't we in Jamaica? Z chose the Netherlands because of its proximity to his home in Hungary, but he's traveled all over the world for various psychedelic experiences and says it has done something truly remarkable. This is Z before he started his psychedelic journeys 2 years ago. He suffered severe Tourette's tics that impacted all aspects of his life. Have you found that plant medicine has helped your Tourette's?
It's pretty much healed.
It's healed?
Yeah. It's, that's what I've been on these last 2 years. This deep healing journey. So all those things we talked about, kind of dissipating, but like my Tourette's also. I realized it's very much a sensitivity in the body, and a lot of emotional suppression, layers and layers of emotional suppression. And as I've kind of worked through my trauma and processed everything, let go of like 3 decades of suppressed emotion, it's like I'm so light right now, and I still tick sometimes, but it's pretty much gone.
And after discovering psychedelics, Z says his clinical depression, anxiety, and Tourette's have vanished. There have been countless studies showing the positive impact psilocybin, the active ingredient in magic mushroom, MDMA, and LSD can have in treating depression, anxiety, as well as trauma. The FDA is conducting trials currently to examine whether some of these substances should be legalized for therapeutic use. A study published in Molecular Psychiatry also found that psilocybin does reduce excessive tic-like head and body twitches in mice, the effects lasting up to 7 weeks after a single treatment.
I had a feeling coming into this retreat that it was going to be special. Obviously, it was New Year's, but I'm here with my sister. We're doing this together. It's her first bigger plant medicine experience as well. So it was just I feel blessed to have this experience.
As this was the first time these retreats coincided with a new year, it made it much more meaningful for the participants.
It's especially important at this time of year where symbolically we're letting go of the old and moving into a new part of our life. And so this kind of inner exploration where we're going in and mining who we are, and then symbolically and in some ways physiologically through the support of these medicines able to shed and let go and step forward in a new way. Yeah. Sometimes people describe the experience of having a really deep psychedelic experience of
being a kind of a rebirth, a kind of a returning to who we were at our essence as we first came into the world, but re-emerging with the wisdom and knowledge of an adult.
Neil, you saw him right there in the story. He joins me right now. He is the co-founder of it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Really, really appreciate it.
Yes.
So did you ever think that we would have gotten to a point in this movement where you have the likes of Oprah and Prince Harry talking so openly about plant medicine and psychedelics?
Yeah, I thought it was coming because
you did.
Yeah, I did.
Like you think
it probably came
Oprah
faster
and
than I
Gail
thought.
would be like, "Yeah, let's just go on a trip together, Gail."
Okay, maybe it's more than I was expecting, but I think the science is there, and then if you've had your own personal experiences, you know that there's something here. So it was just kind of a matter of time.
Okay, all right. But I mean, does it kind of like make it? Some people, you know, I was at a convention, the MAPS convention, the Big Psychedelics Convention in Denver last year, and they were saying how it kind of made it like jump the shark, the whole movement towards getting it. But a lot of people also said it's good to have those sort of names backing up this idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Having Oprah speak about it is a big deal. You know, I think it's officially in pop culture. And that's important, and I think it's been, you know, put into this bucket, demonized, and made to be, you know, something that it's not. And I think if you investigate it, there's actually real science to it, and there's real potential. But there's also risks too, you know. And I think that we just need to be honest brokers of what the potential is.
Okay, so let's back up your journey. You were in the military.
That's right.
You had three stints abroad.
3 stints abroad.
Iraq, Afghanistan.
Afghanistan twice, yes.
And you came back with what?
Some issues. I mean, I was very fortunate, you know. So I was an officer, and then when I was in the Rangers, I was more on the support side of things. So I was. Many people had it way, way worse than me, no question. But it definitely left some marks on me. And then when I got out in 2012 and went to school, I had some space to reflect, and I think I started to realize how much it had impacted me. And yeah, it was showing up in my relationships, my sleep, using alcohol more than I should. You know, so yeah, it leaves a mark on everyone, I think.
And where did this connection with plant medicine and psychedelics come in your post-PTSD or during your PTSD struggles?
It was when I was in graduate school, and you know, by some measures doing well professionally, had a good program, but yeah, was struggling. And I tried anti-anxiety medications, I tried sleeping pills, I tried SSRIs. This is a very common veteran story.
Antidepressants, SSRIs.
And thank you. And then I stumbled into this mindfulness for business leaders course at school, and I met this guy who was a long-term meditator, and he ended up kind of taking me under his wing and teaching me meditation. And meditation was the thing that I really found helpful. And then through that same network of people, I had some professionally facilitated psychedelic experiences. And to me, it felt like they were in some ways enhancing or accelerating what I was trying to do with meditation. And I still really believe that it's some of these practices that are around the psychedelic experience that make the most impact. The psychedelic can be an accelerant or can help kind of open things up more, but we really need people to develop some of these practices.
Did you have like an aha moment where you realized like, oh my God, it's the combination of the meditation and these plants and these medicines, it's really, it's one of those things that's really getting me where the SSRIs, the antidepressants, the sleeping pills were not?
Yeah, well, there's one story in particular that I tell that was quite meaningful for me, but it was like it's been a long journey, and I wouldn't say I'm at some end state. I think I'm still very much trying to figure this thing out on a daily basis. But I was having a really hard time sleeping, and in one of the sessions that I had when I was in Iraq, we were getting rocketed at night, and you would have to get out of bed, put your boots on, grab your rifle, run into the bunkers, and I'd never really thought too much about that because that wasn't like, it was just kind of normal business. But then in that session, it came clear to me, it's like, oh, you're not going into deep sleep because like you're in this mode. And then it was so clear to me, and then I was able to kind of be like, okay, well, I'm going to let that go, and my sleep got better. But it wasn't like a one and done, and that's the thing too, is these experiences can kind of create an opening, but you've got to like make some changes in your life, or you'll revert back.
How transformative have some of these journeys been for some people?
I mean, it's radical. You know, it's radically positive for some.
But it's not for everybody.
But it's definitely not for everybody. No, and it's definitely not for people that don't want to do it. And then there are some individuals that have, I would say, a higher risk profile, and these are people that have more severe psychiatric type conditions, bipolar, schizophrenia, and those used to be kind of in a bucket where most of the industry would say they should never use it.
Yeah.
But now there's scientists and doctors that are saying, well, actually there's application even for those high risk use cases. They just need to be done in a more thoughtful way with more wraparound care and things like this.
I gotta be quick, but what's the wildest thing you saw on a trip?
The wildest thing I've seen on a trip? I mean, I think I've had the complete ego disillusion. So your idea of you goes away, which is hard to
Like
put
you
into
don't
words.
exist. Like where's
you don't exist.
Where's Neil?
I don't. Yeah.
Where you at?
Yeah. And yeah, I've had a bunch. I mean, I could talk for a long time about the weird things that I've seen, and some of them I don't think there's any real relevance to. You know, there's no meaning in them. But some of them it's very clear. Like, okay, this is for me, and there's something to be learned from this.
That'll do it for this episode of Candid with Kendis. Big thanks to Lisa Ling, Z, and the kind folks at Beckley Retreat. I'll see you next time.